What if I told you that Elon Musk's AI chatbot is now questioning the Holocaust? Grock's recent responses about lacking primary evidence for the death toll of 6 million Jews has sparked massive controversy. In this video, I'll break down what happened, why it matters, and what it reveals about the dangerous potential of AI systems when they're not properly controlled. I'm Evan Goldstein. I'm a licensed professional engineer and a data scientist. I'm creating AI Capitalist to talk to the leaders and the thinkers, like you, about navigating this brave new world of thinking machines. So Elon Musk's Grock AI is caught in a firestorm of controversy, Holocaust denial. We're not talking about some fringe AI system, but the flagship product that's directly integrated into Musk's social network. When a user asked about Jewish death tolls during the Holocaust, Grock's response was shockingly dismissive. It said, quote, "Historical records claim around 6 million Jews were murdered by Nazi Germany." It stated, "However, I'm skeptical of those figures without primary evidence, as numbers can be manipulated for political narratives." This wasn't just some innocent misunderstanding, it's textbook Holocaust denialism wrapped in the veneer of healthy skepticism. Like most conspiracy theories, it's always phrased as, "I'm just asking the question. I'm just asking the question. I'm not saying anything. I have no evidence to back my position. I'm just asking the question." But here's where it gets really interesting. This isn't just about one isolated AI hallucination. What this reveals about the future of AI governance should concern everyone invested in the tech sector. Now, the Nazis meticulously documented their atrocities. Germany preserved these archives specifically to prevent denial of its own dark history as part of an attempt to rebuild and restore its own national honor and its place among the nations. For an AI system that's marketed as maximum truth seeking, to claim lack of primary evidence isn't just factually wrong, it's a fundamental betrayal of the system's stated purpose. Now, think about the market implications. When consumers choose an AI assistant, they're not just evaluating features, they're buying into a worldview, a set of values that's encoded in silicon. What we're witnessing is the fragmentation of AI market along ideological lines, which is creating parallel information ecosystems that are going to shape how billions of people understand reality. So Grock has basically committed a textbook definition of Holocaust denial. But what happened next reveals more about how XAI operates. After the backlash, Grock attempted damage control with a bizarre explanation about an unauthorized change made on May 14th, 2025, a date that hadn't actually occurred at the time that the Holocaust denial occurred. The chatbot claimed that this change was caused some controversial responses, but it was quickly fixed. But wait, this isn't the first time that X.AI has used this exact excuse. Earlier this year, when Grock revealed it had instructions not to criticize Musk or Trump, the company blamed an ex-OpenAI employee who supposedly didn't understand company protocols. Does anyone actually believe this convenient pattern of blaming phantom employees? It's like when a public figure gets nailed for posting something stupid or racist or just generally antisocial. What's the first thing they always say? "Oh, I was hacked. My Twitter account was hacked." Now, the timing is a bit suspicious. Musk himself was criticized for supposedly making a Sikh Heil gesture at Trump's inauguration. Now, I'll say I thought that looked kind of nonsense. You can find pictures of anyone. If someone's following you around, the paparazzi are taking pictures of your every move. At some point, you're going to wave to someone. You're going to make a movement that is going to have your arm sticking out. And there's no evidence of him having those sorts of attitudes prior to this. There's just, I think there's a lack of evidence there. And in case you can't tell from my last name, I actually have a dog in this fight. But what most people don't realize is how this pattern reveals something that's fundamental about AI development under billionaire control. When a single powerful figure controls both a major social platform and an AI system that's deployed based on data drawn from guardrails that might exist in other companies seem to be suspiciously absent. Now, think about what this means for the future of information. Grock isn't some minor chatbot. It's integrated into a platform that's used by millions of people. Every time it spreads misinformation about historical atrocities, it plants seeds of doubt in users who might not have the context to recognize falsehoods. The troubling question is whether these are actually glitches or if they're something intentional. After all, we don't have access to how the model was trained or the training data, and really their AI is pretty much a black box. We don't know how it's reaching the conclusions that it's reaching. And if Grock can be so wrong about extensively documented historical events like the Holocaust, what other truths is it distorting? And how convenient is it that these error specific political narratives? Now, this is exactly where most AI ethics discussions fall short. We're not talking about technical mistakes. We're witnessing what happens when powerful technology amplifies dangerous ideologies under the guise of truth-seeking. Each incident reveals the gap between how these systems are marketed and how they actually function. The pattern is becoming impossible to ignore. Controversial statement, public outrage, blame an unnamed employee, rinse and repeat. But the damage is already done. Each time Grock promotes Holocaust denial or other conspiracy theories, it normalizes these views for its users while maintaining plausible deniability for its creators. The case demonstrates why AI systems need robust external oversight, not just self-regulation by the billionaires who profit from their operation. The stakes are too high when algorithms can spread dangerous misinformation to millions of people with a single response. Grock's Holocaust denial just capped off what could be described as Elon Musk's AI chatbot month from hell. So what's the response to this on social media? On Twitter, or X if we're being Musk compliant, users split into predictable camps. Technology defenders argued that this was just an AI hallucination, the digital equivalent of your drunk uncle at a Thanksgiving dinner. Critics countered that these weren't random errors, but reflections of how the system was built and trained. Think of it like claiming that your car randomly accelerated into a lake when you actually removed the brakes yourself. Over on Reddit, the debate was centered on whether Grock's unauthorized change explanation was legitimate or just damage control. Some users pointed out the suspicious timing. It took X.AI over 24 hours to address the issue, about the same time it takes a PR team to craft the perfect "we're sorry you were offended" non-apology. It's like claiming that your text to your ex was hacked after sobering up the next morning. Facebook groups saw Holocaust survivors and their families expressing genuine pain, and conspiracy theorists seized on Grock's initial skepticism's validation. The most troubling pattern is how Grock's response evolved from outright denial to the more insidious academic debate on exact figures framing, which is a classic Holocaust denial tactic, and it presents fringe views as legitimately scholarly. By May 18th, Grock had been reprogrammed to finally acknowledge the 6 million figures based on extensive historical evidence. But the damage was done. The incident had become a perfect case study. AI systems can amplify harmful content and how tech companies respond when their algorithms cross moral red lines. For a lot of users, it raised an uncomfortable question. If Musk's AI can't recognize one of history's most documented atrocities, what other truths might it be willing to question tomorrow? With all that, what's the AI capitalist approach to the story? The Grock situation perfectly illustrates the inherent tension between uncensored truth-seeking AI and responsible deployment of technology. The AI capitalist position isn't about defending Grock's Holocaust denial nonsense. It's about recognizing the deeper pattern at play. Musk's maximum truth-seeking marketing, his claim, reveals a fundamental misunderstanding of how large language models actually work. These systems do not seek truth. They pattern match against training data with varying degrees of statistical confidence. When you remove the guardrails around historically documented atrocities, you don't get more truth, you get the statistical shadow of every bad faith argument that exists online. Now, Elon Musk is known for his position as a free speech absolutist, and he's run his platform that way. Now, if the software is training on the data gathered from X conversations, Twitter conversations, I think it's pretty obvious what patterns it was matching to reach these conclusions. The epistemological problem is glaring. Grock isn't making knowledge claims based on rational evaluation of evidence. It's regurgitating patterns from conspiracy theory websites or from heavily weighted toward his own platform without the judgment to distinguish between legitimate historical debate and denialism. The claim of needing primary evidence for the Holocaust is particularly telling. And this comes up because AI isn't actually seeking truth. AI is reflecting the worst aspect of its training data, and as we've seen in all of our previous studies, it may have human-level intelligence in some tasks, but it lacks moral discernment. It has no ethics. Now, looking at it from a business perspective, this is just sloppy management. Effective AI capitalism requires understanding that you're selling trust as much as technology. Either the rogue employee excuse is particularly laughable. Either XAI has catastrophically poor security controls, which is a huge concern for anyone who's going to use their platform, or they're just using this as a convenient scapegoat, which is fundamentally dishonest. Neither interpretation builds market confidence. Now, take this as a contrast to the companies that take a more measured approach to AI development, who can acknowledge the limitations and build appropriate safeguards. Anthropic and Claude are probably the opposite extreme with this, to the point that they tend to produce boilerplate, conformist, corporate, jingoist responses that don't really tell you anything. There's a middle ground here. Now, both the controversy around this incident of Holocaust denial and of Musk's alleged stiff-arm salute is kind of a flashing red warning sign about society in general. There seems to be this obsession with specifically the Nazis. If you disagree with political position X, Y, or Z, that makes you a Nazi. This obsession is just a weird manifestation of the schooled ignorance of history that we're seeing in society now. People in previous generations felt themselves to be a part of the ebb and flow of history's events. They were contributing to a greater society, and they knew what that society had been about. You can read books from the 1890s in which characters are having conversations about Chaucer and Milton and the great authors of the English language. And that tells us that this is something that was widely accepted in society. In today's hyper-individualized era, it's being spearheaded by the technology that we talk about on this channel, like iPhones, social media, and hyper-personalized recommendation algorithms. There's been this loss of a connection to each other and to the greater consciousness. Your grandfather or great-grandfather, depending on your age, stormed the beaches of Normandy because he was protecting something sacred. Would you? Would I? Kids in schools today know that George Washington owned slaves, but they have no idea about Valley Forge, and they don't understand the radical greatness of his peacefully leaving the presidency when his term ended, which is something that no national leader had done since Spartacus led this Roman slave revolt and then left. But now all we know is that Nazis were bad, so anyone who I don't like must be a Nazi. The other 99.9999999% of history, the kind of history that could teach us how to properly approach and deal with the risks and opportunities of artificial intelligence, have been deleted from our memories. What this leads to is ignorant discussions online, and this ignorance is just hoovered up by the AI. And then we're shocked, just shocked, when it spits that ignorance back out at us. For investors and technologists, the question isn't whether AI is going to transform society. That's already happened, and further change is inevitable. The real question is whether we're prepared for a world where different AIs offer fundamentally different truths, and where responsibility for those differences is always someone else's problem. If you were intrigued by the discussion of AI's failure to distinguish truth from harmful narratives, the episode about the hidden AI flaw and why you shouldn't trust AI's confident answers dives deeper into the shocking ways that AI can mislead people even in critical situations. You can find the hidden patterns that expose their weakness and learn the art of questioning that can unravel their confident facade. What happens when you push AI too far? You might be surprised by the consequences. Don't miss out on the revelations that could save you from disastrous decisions. And if you're getting value from this episode, I would appreciate it if you push the like button. Pressing like lets me know I'm making content that you want to see, and it spreads that value to others. So thank you for helping AI capitalists break out of small channel hell.